Father Pete.
Yes.
If you'd like to begin.
Yes, indeed. Over the last few months, we've been through the extraordinary experience of separation, and our lives have been much diminished. All of the human experience reflects the triple experience of separation and then attachment and renewal. The Bible is full of stories like that of Abraham, Moses, Jesus himself. And let us pray that after this experience of the COVID virus is over, that we can grow through a new experience and understanding of the environment, of care for the sick and elderly and vulnerable in our communities, stability in employment, and rejoice in the joy of being together and the mutual care that comes across with the respect for those who are responsible for so many of us in a fragile state, so that our world in being can be renewed and stronger. Thank you.
Please alert the clerk or the chief executive via the chat function. If you experience any technical difficulties, please alert a member of the Democratic Services via the chat function. Are there any apologies for absence?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have apologies for lateness from Councillor Rebecca Lanning, who will be approximately 20 minutes late.
Does any member present have an interest to declare? I call for nominations for the position of Mayor of Merton for the municipal year 2020-2021.
Madam Mayor, I nominate Councillor Sally Kenny.
Is that nomination seconded? Are there any other nominations?
No.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
I am pleased to announce that Councillor Sally Kenny has been duly elected Mayor of the London Borough of Merton for the municipal year 2020-2021, and I would like to wish her all the best for the forthcoming year.
Chamber, and the Mayor, newly elected Madam Mayor will sign the declaration of acceptance of office and receive her chain and badge of office. And the Mayor will now return to the dais. Congratulations. And the Mayor is now going to announce her Deputy Mayor for the forthcoming year.
I'm pleased to appoint Councillor John Dehaney as my deputy for the forthcoming year. Congratulations, Councillor Dehaney. Would you like to come forward?
And the Deputy Mayor and Chief Executive will now sign the Declaration of Office, and the Deputy Mayor will receive his badge of office. And the Mayor will now announce her consort and her arrangements for her chaplaincy.
I'm pleased to announce that my consort will be Amanda Woodman. My chaplain will be David Ruddock. In order to preserve social distancing, they will be presented with the badge of office and the cross after the meeting.
And the Deputy Mayor will now announce his consort.
To announce that my consort will be my wife, Olga Dehaney.
And in order to preserve social distancing, the Deputy Mayor's consort will be presented with her badge of office after this meeting. The Mayor will also present the outgoing Mayor and consorts with their badges and flowers after the meeting, and will present the outgoing Deputy Mayor and consort with their badge and flowers after the meeting.
I'd like to say thank you to my fellow councillors for electing me to the position of Mayor of the London Borough of Merton. This is a great honour and privilege. I plan to fulfil this position with decorum, passion and commitment. I hope that I am a credit to you and the residents of Merton. You all deserve the very best, and I shall try during this difficult time to do my very best. Merton has been my home for most of my life. Both my children attended Merton schools throughout their education during the three-tier system. I know Merton really well. I enjoy living, working and socialising within Merton. My teaching career, which I loved, was in Merton schools. I have given much thought and deliberation to choosing my charities. There are so many worthy causes that this was certainly a thought-provoking and difficult task. Walking my daughter's mini schnauzer Archie, I saw the variety of activities which take place in our amazing parks. I was especially delighted to see in my local park, King George's Playing Field, the thrive of activity, particularly on Saturday mornings, where hundreds of young children and their families congregated to enjoy themselves and were involved in football. Boys and girls from 6 to 14 years were socialising, becoming fit and enjoying themselves. It was a wonderful sight to behold. For this reason, I knew that Morden Little League was to be one of my charities. My second charity became more prominent in my mind when I heard carers saying how grateful they were to a few hours of respite from their role. I have great sympathy for carers who do the most amazing work to support their loved ones and often feel they do not get enough support and have very little time to themselves. This was particularly reinforced when a close friend whose husband has dementia found groups were not prepared to take him for a second time. He was too difficult. I know that Fish does excellent work in this area, but they were the Mayor's charities 2 years ago and also 3 years before that. My friend was expecting her husband to return to her with the comment, sorry, we just can't take him again. She was delighted to hear that they were happy to take him again and provide her with 3 hours a week of personal time. This clinched my decision. Merton and Morden Guild is my second charity. I look forward to all supporting the different approach to fundraising. I would love it if you joined me in such activities as Zoom bingo, Zoom horse racing, and a virtual balloon race. Other virtual and socially distant activities are planned. A huge thank you to you all in anticipation of your ongoing support. Thank you. I'd like to call on the leader of the council to move the vote of thanks to the outgoing mayor.
Wait, you're welcome. I'll do your welcome first. Is that later? Okay. Thank you. In her inaugural speech as mayor, Councillor Howard praised the commitment of Merton residents to helping vulnerable members of the community and looked forward to working alongside them. She could not have imagined back in May 2019 that a spell in office would coincide with an extraordinary period which would test the resilience of that community. The coronavirus pandemic saw the suspension of physical council meetings in March 2020. As a result, Councillor Howard presided over the first full council meeting conducted via Zoom. She also held the borough's first virtual auction, raising £6,000 for her charities. Lockdown meant the annual mayor making meetings could not take place, and Councillor Howard continued to be at the helm for an additional 4 months, making her the borough's longest continuously serving mayor. Congratulations there. It was a period which saw residents demonstrate genuine community spirit, whether volunteering to help people who were shielding or organising street-based collections for Wimbledon Food Bank. Touched by the generosity they encountered each day, Councillor Howard's pride in the borough increased, as did her certainty that she wouldn't wish to live anywhere else. This generosity helped Councillor Howard in perhaps her proudest achievement, raising more than £99,000 for her charities, a really impressive sum given the year's major fundraising event, the Mayor's Ball, could not take place. I think we should applaud her at this stage for that. In my welcoming speech last year, councillors may recall I described the lengths to which Janice went to catch my attention, to make her case to be our first citizen. My wife got quite worried. Who is that woman? She would say. But I knew all along Janice would be approved by the Labour group, and she has made us all proud in the way she has carried out the role. Councillor Howard's chosen charities were both causes close to her heart and to ours. Faith in Action does an amazing job supporting homeless people in the borough. The Macmillan Cancer Support Project at St George's Hospital provides information support for Merton's residents receiving treatment at that hospital. Before COVID-19, Councillor Howard led wide-ranging events which brought communities together. Highlights include a cricket match on Mitcham Green, which pitted a cross-party team of councillors against the local side, raising money through the sale of refreshments. Everyone got on together. The Mayor represented Merton at London's annual New Year's Day parade. She championed the borough's entry, in which 2 giant puppet aliens enjoyed a London day out, complete with taxis and beef eaters, plus a specially produced song by Councillor Linda Kirby. The leader Myself and Councillor Nick Draper were literally waiting on the crowds with offers of a cheap Prosecco. Students from Wimbledon College of Art created the puppets, and children from St Mary's College, from St Mary's Catholic Primary School took part, winning £5,000 for your charities, Madam Mayor. As Merton's first citizen, Councillor Howard had the immense privilege of welcoming Her Royal Highness the Queen to the borough during a visit to Hague Houses Trusts to open their supported housing for veterans in Morden and inspect a section of the development named after the late Councillor Maxie Martin. There was the honour of being hosted in the Royal Box on the first day of the 2019 Wimbledon Championships, hosted by the All England. In March 2020, it was the turn of Councillor Howard to host a tour of the All England, followed by afternoon tea. Councillor Howard showed her footballing credentials by welcoming the Brazilian ambassador to Wimbledon Park in August 2020 to see not the Brazilian national team, but to compete in a beach volleyball contest. That was still great. In 2019, Meacham saw its first augmented reality festival as part of the borough's Film Merton initiative. Councillor Howard was thrilled to get involved and subsequently have the chance to broadcast live on Radio Meacham. Madam Mayor, during her inauguration, Councillor Howard said she felt greatly honoured and immensely proud to serve as the Mayor, pledging to meet as many people as possible, which she has done. Despite the challenges presented by coronavirus, she has certainly fulfilled this promise, supporting the borough's vital volunteers and genuinely working to bring people together. As Mayor, Councillor Howard has been supported in the work by her Deputy Mayor, Councillor Edward Foley, and her consorts, her husband Andrew and children Benedict and Isabella, as well as her team, Sandra Folks and the attendant, Carl Brown. So we come together tonight to resolve unanimously, Madam Mayor, that the Council places on record its sincere thanks and appreciation to Councillor Janice Howard for the dedicated manner in which she has served as Mayor of the London Borough of Merton for the elongated year 2019-2020. Well done, Madam Mayor.
I'd like to call on Councillor Nick McLean to second the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I always knew that Councillor Janice Howard would be an extraordinary Mayor. However, I never thought that she would break the record for the longest continuous serving Mayor of the London Borough of Merton. It is, of course, no secret that Councillor Howard was keen for the opportunity to be the London Borough of Merton's first citizen. She accepted the honour with energy and enthusiasm and did not disappoint the borough's residents. Since May 2019, Councillor Howard has done incredibly well to raise approaching £100,000 for her chosen Mayoral charities, Macmillan Cancer Support Project and Faith in Action Merton Homeless Project. An amount of much needed funding made all the more amazing considering that Councillor Howard was unable to hold her mayoral ball. It is truly a fantastic achievement. It goes without saying that it was a great disappointment to have not been able to hold the mayoral ball, the centrepiece of any mayoral calendar. But of course, Councillor Howard, in her typical stoic fashion, understood the need to protect against the spread of this dreadful virus, and residents must come first. The dedication that Councillor Howard brought to the mayoralty deserved a finish full of glamour and pageantry, and I think we can all say with confidence that it would have truly been quite the event. That said, Councillor Howard held a number of excellent fundraising events and dinners, including the quiz night, the Lebanese night, the Christmas ball, and many more. Councillor Howard injected new ideas for fundraising events, like getting me, along with Councillors Alan Brittis and Southgate, and Chief Executive Jed Curran, to grow a moustache for Movember. Some have kept it, we have not. On a personal note, I was delighted that the then Madam Mayor conducted my citizenship ceremony at Morden Park House in February. It was very special to receive my certificate of naturalisation by not just the Mayor of Merton, but also a friend. Madam Mayor, Councillor Howard attended many civic events, engaging with our diverse communities and representing our borough with pride on key ceremonial occasions. It is, of course, a great pleasure to be offering this thanks to my Conservative colleague, Councillor Janice Howard, on her successful mayoralty. Councillor Howard, you can be extremely proud of your 17 months as the Mayor of Merton. I know we are. Thank you.
Councillor Anthony Fairclough.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and welcome also. I wanted to express thanks from my group to the outgoing Mayor, Councillor Janice Howard, and her consorts, and also to Councillor Foley and the work that they have both done and their colleagues have done in this mayoral year, this elongated mayoral year. When I welcomed her last year, I mentioned Councillor Howard's lightness of touch and cross-party approach, and she certainly followed it up this year, despite the difficulties caused by the pandemic. There've still been hundreds of activities and events and a fantastic fundraising results as well. Really, really amazing. We certainly in my group enjoyed seeing Councillor Kohler in his cricket gear for the charity cricket match. And we're also very grateful for the support you gave in the first ever Motspur Park Christmas Fair, bringing a real community event to an oft-forgotten part of the borough. I particularly wanted to highlight how important the work of one of your charities, Merton Faith in Action, was. As we all know, I'm sure, they run the homelessness drop-in on Kingston Road just outside my ward. Now, pandemic aside, they offer homeless people food, warm drinks, a shower, a haircut maybe. But as well as the practicalities, it's about treating people with respect. Now, during the pandemic, there's been a real focus on homelessness, and it's one of the issues we didn't want to get lost in the recovery. And that issue of treating people with respect needs to be at the fore, and this great charity is showing us the way. So thank you very much for all your work. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Peter Southgate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The mayoralty is above all a people business. It thrives on personal interactions, meeting and greeting, talking to people, whether individually or in large numbers. And in Councillor Howard, Janice, we had a mayor whose personality was ideally suited to that role. For both in her professional and political life, Janice is very much a people person. If she wants to get something done, Janice would always prefer to come and talk to you about it rather than send you an email. She exudes enthusiasm, and she left me in little doubt of her enthusiasm to become mayor shortly after she was elected. So I'm glad we were able to set aside the convention that the mayor is chosen only from the ranks of the ruling party and select the best candidate for the job, recognizing her enthusiasm and her dedication. Janice's year included all the important events that draw the community together, such as Remembrance Sunday, the formal wreath-laying ceremonies, which she led with dignity, also Armed Forces Day and the moving Holocaust Memorial Day. But there were lighter, fun and fundraising events for her two charities as well. I particularly remember the Sandbrooks beer tasting evening at the Hand in Hand, a pub I hadn't been inside for 50 years. That was fun, as was the Mayor's quiz night at the Wimbledon Club, where Consort Andrew gave an assured performance as quizmaster, pointing to a promising future in stand-up comedy. And who can forget the Silver Sunday tea, also at the Wimbledon Club? Certainly not my mother-in-law. It was one of the highlights of her 104th year. Then in March, it all came to a crashing halt with the onset of COVID and the lockdown. The last time we met in this chamber was on the 4th of March for the Budget Council meeting, more than 6 months ago. I don't know about you, but the pandemic has rather warped my perceptions of time since. Looking back to the events I've recounted is like looking through the wrong end of a telescope. They all seem curiously distant. Unremarkable at the time, they now seem particularly precious because they mark a time when we could be together and enjoy each other's company. And Janice was our mayor for those happier times. Let's remember the good things she brought us and let's be grateful for them. And it's all too easy for the deputy mayor to be overlooked on occasions like this. But as in this case, is my good friend, a Merton Park fellow councillor, Edward Foley. I do want to include Ed and his wife Miranda in this tribute, along with their two children, Annabelle and Sam. I know Ed has enjoyed his role as deputy mayor. He's performed it with panache, whether it be presiding at citizenship ceremonies or visiting old people's homes. So thanks to you, Ed, and indeed thanks to you, Janice, for your year.
Councillor Macaulay.
Thank you, and congratulations, Madam Mayor, on your election as mayor. Deputy Lieutenant Claire Whelan, Madam Mayor, councillors, officers, and distinguished guests. It gives me great pleasure tonight to give a vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor of Martin, Councillor Janice Howard, for all her excellent work which she has done for her two charities, Macmillan Cancer Support and Faith in Action, Martin Homelessness Project. The job as mayor is a very personal one in that the responsibilities are not abstract or theoretical, but rather direct, specific, and intimate. Councillor Janice Howard and her consort Andrew Howard and the Deputy Mayor Edward Foley and consort have worked very hard throughout the mayoral year. And I must say that in terms of her commitment to the role as first citizen of the borough, she has been an outstanding mayor of Martin. She has shown great passion, skill, enthusiasm, and countless initiatives in the mayoral office, and that has raised the profile of the borough, especially in terms of her skills for fundraising events for her two charities. Earlier this year, Councillor Howard was planning for her mayoral ball in April, and I was privileged to accompany her to businesses in the Wimbledon area, and it was great to see how well she was known to the community and the support which was given to her by some of the local businesses in the area. She was given several items for her auction and raffle prizes. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, the charity ball was postponed. I am sure she would have had a very successful evening due to her great personality. One of the highlights of events in a mayoral year was to hold a reception in the Mayor's Parlour for staff in the All England Tennis Club, and the chairman of the club was delighted to have visited the Mayor's Parlour with most of her senior staff, and he mentioned that they were grateful to Janice for her kind invitation to the Mayor's Parlour. Councillor Janice Howard have been very hardworking and a fabulous mayor. And tonight, I would like to extend my sincere thanks for all our efforts and commitments, and also the way in which she has performed her duties as first citizen of the borough, and with her consort Andrew, and also with Ed Foley, the deputy mayor, and his consorts. Well done, Janice. It's been a wonderful mayoral year, and thank you once again.
Councillor Holden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too would like to thank Councillor Janice Howard for being a superb mayor and first citizen of this borough, and to loyal Deputy Councillor Ed Foley. I hope Janice has enjoyed her time as mayor. Councillor Howard has been a wonderful mayor and has visited many groups and organisations across the borough, and they've all been very pleased to see her. I also note all the charity events Janice has very skillfully organised, which have been well attended, supported, and rather fun. I particularly enjoyed and liked the cricket match, which was held at the Mitcham Cricket Green, and the Christmas dinner. Alas, with COVID locking down the country back in March, it was very sad that Janice's pièce de résistance showpiece event, the Mayoral Charity Ball, had to be cancelled. Again, Councillor Howard showed a remarkable bounce back from this by arranging several auctions, which helped generate a lot of funds and cash for her chosen charities. I was quite pleased myself because I won some wine on the latest auction, and I do enjoy a glass of vino. I also heard that over her time as mayor, Councillor Howard raised, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a record amount in the mayoral year, which is great to see. Janice, many thanks and congratulations on your term as mayor of Merton.
Councillor Moulton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And firstly, I'd like to welcome you and offer my congratulations on your election and my very best wishes for your coming year. I appreciate it won't be an easy year, but I'll endeavour to offer you my support, and wherever possible, I know all councillors across the chamber would wish to do so too. Madam Mayor, some 17 months ago now, and I believe a record period, I stood in the chamber to speak in support of the nomination of the then new mayor, Councillor Howard, which as a fellow member and a fellow ward member of Wimbledon Park, I was very proud to do. I mentioned then that Councillor Howard would bring added vigour and energy to her role as mayor. And indeed, as many of you here tonight know, she also has wonderful organisational skills, which combined with her great focus and powers of persuasion has ensured that mayoral events and fundraising events that she was able to hold were all well supported, and that everyone here tonight had the opportunity to be involved and have some fun at the same time, and indeed helped to raise a record sum of money. And well done, Councillor Howard, in achieving that, because indeed it has been a difficult year and one that she has made her own, I think, over that time. Madam Mayor, Merton has been lucky to have had such a hardworking and diligent mayor for a record number of months, and who has also provided excellent leadership, support and service to our constituents, local communities, businesses and charities across the whole borough, and also rallied many of her own personal networks, so that indeed the amount she has raised is testament to all that hard work. On a personal note, I was delighted that one of my former mayoral charities, Merton Macmillan, was chosen to be one of hers too. And along with Faith in Action, I'm delighted that it's been such a successful fundraising year for those charities which give so much to Merton constituents. But I'd also like to pay tribute to her consort, Councillor Andrew Howard, and their children, Ben and Bella, who've supported her and attended many of her wide-ranging events. And of course, also to her deputy, Councillor Ed Foley, for his unstinting support, and to his consort, Miranda, and their children. Madam Mayor, I fully endorse this vote of thanks to someone who's been an outstanding Mayor of Merton. Thank you, Councillor Howard.
Councillor Williams.
Madam Mayor, thank you and congratulations on your election. For the Conservative group, I'm trying to establish, Madam Mayor, whether I can be heard. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I'm trying to establish if I can be heard.
We can hear you.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, thank you and congratulations on your election. For the Conservative group, it's going to be hard to stop thinking of Janice herself as Madam Mayor. She'd almost become a permanent fixture, not of course at our group meetings, which she correctly avoided throughout her mayoralty to stay away from political engagement until last Monday, but at many civic events she has presided over, including fundraisers. I've witnessed a number of these handovers and retrospectives. A common theme which Janice epitomizes is that each mayor brings something special to the role that is both unique to them and can surprise colleagues in all parts of the chamber. I knew something of Janice's background professionally, politically, and personally, but the ease she brought to chairing meetings was immediate and impressive. A light touch, but authoritative and fair. The smooth flow of events, such as Silver Sunday, involving a high degree of organisation using volunteers, was also a delight. Janice managed to be ruthlessly efficient during her term, including the introduction of innovative ways to support her charities and get our wallets open. Her charity ball would, I am sure, have been a glittering affair. Maybe there will be another opportunity for that one day. But in the meantime, Janice can glow in the afterlight of a successful mayoralty, ably supported by Andrew, Ed, Miranda, and their families, who now deserve a good and well-earned rest from a job well done. Thank you.
I wish to add my personal thanks and recognition to the outgoing Mayor, Councillor Janice Howard. She has been an outstanding Mayor, committed, hardworking and determined to do the very best for Merton and for her two charities. Her unstinting efforts have raised an amazing amount of money to further the work for her charities. I congratulate you on all you've done. I'd also like to add thanks to Ed Foley and Miranda for all the work they did in supporting Janice and the role they played. Thank you. Does any other member wish to speak? Thank you. Is the vote agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Councillor Janice Howard, would you like to respond?
Madam Mayor, and many congratulations to you. I was so privileged to be elected Mayor of Merton by you, my fellow councillors. As first citizen of the borough, I've had the most amazing and extraordinary year. I already knew Merton was a great borough to live in, but during my year as Mayor, I encountered such generosity and caregiving from so many charities and organisations. They offer so much support to the community across the borough. It makes me so proud. And I'd say again, I wouldn't live anywhere else. It was an honour to meet Her Majesty the Queen when she came to open the Hague Housing Trust on behalf of every resident of the borough. And I was really deeply honoured to have that opportunity. Fundraising for my two charities has been such an important part of my year. Faith in Action, helping the homeless, and Macmillan Cancer Support. They will really need the money, especially because of the COVID-19 epidemic, and their funds have seen a huge drop-off. I do have a regret about the charity ball. It would have been splendid and a fitting end to my mayoral year. However, I hold the record for the longest continuous serving mayor, so I'm still smiling. Thanking the All England Club for the Royal Box on the opening day of Wimbledon. But touching moments of generosity. It was the Christmas tree lighting in Mitcham, and a little girl came up to me and gave me a frozen pin badge. And I know that meant a lot to her. She was 4 years old. And I said, no, you keep it. She said, no, Madam Mayor, I want you to have my pin badge. So it was things like that that really touched my heart too, not just the big things, the small things too. I'm going to not apologise for all the thank yous coming now, because I have thank yous to my events committee and my charities, in particular to Councillor Linda Kirby for her help with the New Year's Day parade. I wouldn't have known where to start without her support. For Councillor Edith McCauley, she went to the US Open and brought back signed memorabilia by Serena and Venus Williams and Novak Djokovic, and did the sponsored swim and helped me gather raffle prizes. I mean, it was great. But thank you to all the councillors who have supported me across the political divide. You all made my year such a wonderful experience. But I want to especially thank my Deputy Mayor, Councillor Ed Foley, and his wife Miranda and their children. They were the best deputies a mayor could ask for. He was my wingman, and between us, we tried to fill every commitment that came in. So a big debt to Councillor Foley and his wife. Our wonderful Deputy Lord Lieutenant for Merton, Claire Whelan, has also been a great support to me throughout the year, and I wish her well as she stands down from this role. Finally, not finally, nearly finally, the two wonderful people in my mayoral office, Carl and Sandra, without whom I could not have carried out such a professional and packed programme. I shall miss you. Your support was invaluable. Thank you so much. And to Steve and Mick, my relief drivers, who also looked after me so well. Finally, a huge thank you to my husband, Councillor Andrew Howard, who supported me every step of the way, and my two children, Ben and Bella, who have undertaken consort duties on a number of occasions. I know that Councillor Sally Kenny will be a terrific mayor, and I will support her in any way I can. Thank you all.
And the Mayor will present Councillor Janice Howard with a framed copy of the citation after the meeting.
Councillor Alan Brittas, there's now an opportunity for you to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Having thanked the outgoing mayor, it's only right that we formally welcome you to your new role and say a few words about yourself and your deputy. Councillor Sally Kenny was first elected in Lower Morden in 2014. Until very recently, and in fact until today, Sally was the very efficient chair of the Children and Young People Overview and Scrutiny Panel. And she was also a member of the Overview and Scrutiny Commission as well. Sally was also a member of the Appeals Committee. These are roles Sally will be relinquishing as we welcome her to be our first citizen and mayor for the municipal year 2020-21. In times gone by, Sally was a member of the Healthier Communities and Older People Overview and Scrutiny Panel between 2014 and 2019. And she was also a member of the Appeals Committee between 2016 and 2018. Sally's also been a substitute member of Standards and General Purposes Committee and of the South West London Joint Health Overview and Scrutiny Commission. All those positions get put to one side as Sally prepares to represent this great South London borough of ours. But who really is Sally Kenny, I hear you all asking? Well, I for one know she's a high flyer. Born in Huntington to a father who was big in the military police with the RAF. There you get the height factor. Now we all go to school where at least one of the rich and famous person also went. And for myself, I went to the same school as someone who played Bond, James Bond. Yes, Pierce Brosnan. Why should I hanker for his looks and health? Sally was in the same position. Sally went to Primrose Primary School. Who else went there? Well, Ed Miliband. Of course, but I do not know if Sally envies Ed for anything. I do not know. She might just tell us one day if Sally is a delight for her in terms of Ed Miliband. Sally was, of course, a teacher for some 15 years standing, including stints as the deputy head at Cranmer at a time of the middle school system, as she informed us. But there was nothing middling about Sally. She collected degrees as one would collect panini cards. Don't tell me none of you know what panini cards are. Showing my age, Madam Mayor. And so after teaching, Sally went on to work for Roehampton University and was a key person in the initial teacher training course at that time. A little secret here and why we are going to be well looked after by Sally, who loves Merton to bits. All her brightest and smartest aspiring trainee teachers were sent to Merton schools by Sally. She would have it no other way, and the pupils were made an offer they could not refuse. And we're going to get a lot of those offers during her mayoralty, and we won't be able to refuse. Not just a teacher and then a trainer of teachers, but also has a huge passion for schools that saw Sally on governor boards at Gorringe, Rains Park High, Aragon, Cranmer, and I'm sure I've missed one school out, I don't know. As mayor, Sally will teach us a thing or two about being for the community and in the community, because that is what she does day in, day out in Lower Morden, and she'll be doing that now for the whole of Merton. Her time, as she's told us, spent walking Archie the dog, is also time spent learning the names of all the other dogs and their walkers, and that way she's got to know most of her ward residents. The borough's other residents in other wards will, I'm sure, get to know her as a superb, caring mayor. It's very hard work being the mayor, or so I'm told by Carl, and so it is good that Sally is known for not being afraid of hard work. Sally works every year with the council and residents in leading the great Lower Morden bulb plant-off in King George's playing fields. This has now been going for 6 years. Sally never lets go of a good idea. Colleagues, we'll be in for a treat with Mayor Kenny, and I know she will be ably assisted by her Deputy Councillor John Dehaney. They will be a tireless duo for residents during these difficult times, and I know they will both rise to the challenge. Many thanks and welcome, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Edith Macaulay.
I thought, Madam Mayor, I was
Apologies,
speaking.
my mistake.
No.
This concludes the ceremonial part of the meeting, and the council will now proceed with its formal business. Do you want a break or go on? Right. We'll go straight on to the formal meeting.
Madam Mayor, I thought I was saying I was giving a vote of thanks to the chairman, the deputy lieutenant. Madam Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, that will be a little bit later.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. We are now on to item 5, approval of the minutes. Are the minutes of the last council meeting agreed as the correct record? Thank you, that is agreed. Item 6, we will now deal with the constitution of committees and other bodies report, including the tabled appendices to the report. Councillor Allison, would you present this report?
Hello, Madam Mayor, and many congratulations to you. I'd like to propose and then reserve my right to speak because I understand there's an amendment.
Do you have a seconder? Right. Councillor Welton?
I am formally second, Madam Mayor.
Right. We have an amendment. Councillor Goode, please move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A cross-party climate emergency was declared by the Council in July 2019, and successful steps have been taken since with the formation of the Climate Emergency Working Group and successful completion of the Climate Strategy Action Plan. this vital cabinet role is required to take responsibility for leading on tackling climate breakdown and the biodiversity crisis. As the Council is backing a green recovery out of COVID, they will require a cabinet member to lead and support on the climate strategy and action plan. What we have seen is an awful lot of positive rhetoric. What we're not seeing is the action to back that up. The government creates an impression of taking this climate change seriously. But as you see, dig down into this action, that's just not reflected. This is what we are seeing at the Council too. Climate change is the biggest threat we face. If we do not tackle it, the consequences are grim. Pandemics will be more commonplace. This is not a future threat. This is here now. The COVID pandemic we are struggling with has direct links to climate change. We must wake up to the reality of the threat. The rising global temperature is on public record. Residents are seeing climate change with their own eyes. We will have hotter, drier summers and wetter winters with extreme rainfall events, as we saw recently in Rains Park with flooding affecting residents and businesses. All businesses need to be able to sustain their operations in a climate changed world. In the past decade, funding for UK wildlife and the environment has dropped by 30%. This means habitat are not being created, protected or monitored sufficiently. Since 1970, we have seen a 68% drop in the wildlife population. The most endangered species in Britain are the turtle dove and the hedgehog due to the habitat loss. Is this the last summer we see the pagoda tree in the Cannons, Merton's Tree of the Year, before it is cut down to size by more than half to make way for Merton Council's housing development, and hard pruned always if it survives? A tree strategy in Merton was begun in 2012. But it was never finalised. We have no tree strategy to ensure canopy cover to mitigate climate change, to protect the trees we have, or to plant the right trees in the right place. Merton Council's Green Space Plan doesn't contain a biodiversity strategy. It's shameful. We need strong leadership and action on this vitally important issue. Proper communication is paramount to its success. There are too many examples of this council failing to communicate on climate change issues. Working with residents would have avoided the council's disastrous introduction of LTNs. Working cross-party, keeping councillors fully informed and on board would support the council with climate action policies. Let us avoid another local Tory councillor failing to support climate change policies, even those brought in by their own governments. Proper communication was needed, but absent in Collier's Wood when cycle lanes were improved. Proper communication on emission-based parking, which is currently under consultation, would mean residents would understand the thinking behind the policy. This is serious. Of 51 sites across Merton being monitored, 38 fail to meet UK air quality objectives. We need a single person with climate change as their primary responsibility to ensure that this is considered in everything the council does. Without this role, climate change will simply be lost. A climate change cabinet member is a necessity, not a luxury, if Burton Council is committed to climate action. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The amendment is being seconded by Councillor Fairclough.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Formally seconding and reserving my right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. I have the following people listed to speak. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was rumoured that there would be 2 Liberal Democrat amendments tonight. However, it would appear that they have dropped their attempt to rewrite our Constitution without discussion. Thankfully, they seem to have accepted that the Constitution Task Group should report first. We agree. Madam Mayor, to the meaning of this amendment, to put it simply, the Liberal Democrat record on the environment in Merton is pretty poor, and this is a virtue signalling attempt of political relevance. At the budget, we put forward technology-based solutions that would combat the pollution crisis. All we heard from the Lib Dems was hot air. They couldn't even think of any idea of their own and limply asked for more money to be given to this Labour administration. Devoid of inspiration, They always go for the lazy political levers of tax rises, which is why they support the expansion of the ultra-low emission zone into Wimbledon. Madam Mayor, Councillor Kohler often likes to refer to a duopoly. We agree, and it's between Labour and the Lib Dems, which of course is why it was so easy for Councillor Quillam to defect. Vote yellow, get red. Councillor Quillam's passing comment must have really stung when he referred to his former colleagues as a clown car, here, there, and everywhere, especially given their hatred of cars and dislike for motorists. Madam Mayor, the Liberal Democrats are developing an alarming, entitled, and anti-democratic approach to local politics. We have seen this approach manifested in the low traffic neighbourhoods and the action of the Merton Transport Group. Madam Mayor, the Conservative Group will be abstaining on this amendment as it is pure virtual signaling and does not offer any practical measures to improve the pollution crisis in Merton.
Thank you. Councillor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A lot has happened in the 17 months since I spoke at the last annual council meeting when I was roundly berated by Councillor Dean and Councillor Allison for daring to raise a substantive issue. However, whilst much has changed, some things remain the same. I'm confident both will be angry with me tonight as they were then, even though I'm raising an issue that's being solely determined tonight. One of our tasks this evening is to approve the membership of scrutiny bodies in accordance with the Council's constitution. I'd like to draw colleagues' attention to Part 4E of that weighty tome, which details the scrutiny procedure rules. Right stuff, I grant you, and it gets drier. Under paragraph 9A, paragraph 9 of Part 4A, it states that the Council will appoint the chair and vice chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Commission and any of its scrutiny panels at its annual council meeting. That is indeed what we are doing tonight. However, it goes on to say the appointment of chairs and vice chairs will comply with the rules of proportionality. And that is clearly what we are not doing tonight. As in previous years, the chairs and vice chairs of scrutiny have been carved up by, as Councillor McLean says, that cosy duopoly of Labour and the Tories, along with the Merton Park Independents. With no room anywhere near the head of any table for the Lib Dems. The council is, to coin a phrase, breaching its own constitutional law in a limited and specific way. Now, I'm not surprised at the Tories, for, as we've seen in Parliament this week, humbug comes naturally to them, be it the rule of law or the climate emergency. Where Councillor McLean is just about to accuse the council of losing control over air quality, whilst, without stopping to draw polluted breath, campaigning against the introduction of low traffic neighbourhoods in his ward. Nor do the gyrations of Councillor Alan Breter shock me anymore. A leader so wedded to proportionality at the last council meeting that he connived with the Tories to remove the Lib Dems from a scrutiny panel when there was no legal requirement to do so, but refuses now to address this clearly unlawful disproportionate allocation of posts. I am, however, saddened that the leader of the Merton Park Independents, Councillor Southgate, has not intervened, given his long-standing and seemingly continuing role as the chair of scrutiny. Now, without their help, we are powerless to force you to obey your constitution. However, whether it's Boris Johnson or Councillor Alan Bretus, international law or the London Borough of Merton's constitution, the rule of law does matter. I assure members that when my party is running this council, we will be scrupulous in respecting your rights, even if you do not respect ours this evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Southgate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, that last speech seemed not to relate to the amendment before us. I was expecting something about the matter of allocation of chair and vice chair roles in scrutiny panels, but and had that come forward, I would have spoken on it. But let me instead speak on the amendment as it was put to us. And let me begin by paying tribute to the work of former Cabinet member Tobin Byers in bringing us as far as we have got in recognising the climate emergency and responding to it. For it was he who reached out to all political groups a year ago, wouldn't think it listening tonight, would you, to achieve the declaration of climate emergency on a cross-party basis. And it was he who set up the working group to draw in interested parties from all sectors of the community to assist in drafting the climate strategy and the action plan. He warned us that this would not be an easy journey ahead. We had confidence that in Tobin, we had someone who could and would walk the talk. In short, we had a leader. If Tobin was still in the cabinet today, I'm not sure we'd be having this discussion. But now we're like an orchestra. We're all tuned up and ready to play, and we're waiting for the conductor to step onto the rostrum and raise his baton. I don't think any of us are in doubt about the urgency of the threat. We have the evidence all around us, don't we, from the Californian wildfires to receding Arctic glaciers, and it's all happening at an accelerating pace. Scrutiny underlined its commitment to the strategy when the Commission undertook pre-decision scrutiny of the action plan at its June meeting and agreed that Sustainable Communities Panel should monitor the delivery of the action plan for as long as it takes to deliver. We further agreed that the action plan should be embedded in all of our policies, just as equalities policy is now. We also recognise the role of the voluntary and charity sector in encouraging individual actions to mitigate change. This is not something we can do as a council. It is something we can encourage individuals to do in their choice of how they heat their homes, how they travel around our borough, how they minimise waste, how they interact with our natural environment, and so on. So, it's not for the council to tell the leader how to structure his cabinet, but we are agreed on how essential it is to have a member who will lead on climate change and is willing to take on the action plan for the long haul. We will be supporting the recommendation.
Councillor Ormerod.
I didn't think that I was going to be speaking, Madam Mayor. I do apologise. I wasn't on the speakers list.
Okay, Councillor Ormerod, thank you very much. Councillor Fairclough, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll bring us back to the amendment, the recommendation that's been put forward for a climate change cabinet member. Of course, all that full council can do is make a request to the leader. It is, of course, his choice to do as he sees fit. Now, the cabinet is 2 members shorter than it has previously been, and certainly, as Councillor Southgate has recognised, Councillor Byers' shoes are quite big ones to fill. So big, in fact, it seems that literally nobody is set to fill them, and we think this is a missed opportunity. Madam Mayor, we were very pleased actually last year when the leader brought in a cabinet member to bring focus on equalities issues. Councillor Attawar was brought in with a brief that crosses departments. This, we suggest, Madam Mayor, is a perfect opportunity to do the same. Bring in somebody who can focus on the issues relating to climate change. Now, slightly find, Madam Mayor, the comments of the Conservative group surprising. You can see I'm struggling over my words. They're so bizarre. It's difficult to know how to respond to them. I'm sure the Leader of the Opposition will remember our amendment to the budget was, in fact, to make sure that the money from the parking charges were actually put towards air quality improvements, which, of course, is a real practical action, rather than the back of an envelope, kind of figures of 100,000 here, 100,000 there from reserves, tied up with some bizarre, Madam Mayor, some bizarre principle of electronic whiteboards for schools that nobody needed, just so that nobody could actually vote for the amendment. That, Madam Mayor, is the real hot air here. And whilst I didn't really want to make this partisan, I feel we have to, given the continued obsession with Councillor Kohler that the Conservative group show. I think to explain, Madam Mayor, that the comments on the report from Councillor Kohler have been taken slightly out of sequence, which is why his comments did not relate to the amendment, but to the report itself. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Welton, do you wish to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Firstly, can I congratulate you on your election as Mayor of Merton. I'm incredibly pleased for you, and I know you'll make a wonderful mayor over the next municipal year. I have to say I was surprised by this motion in what should be a non-political annual council meeting here this evening, and I find the conduct of the Liberal Democrats extremely disappointing in that respect. As an administration, we have been pioneering in terms of the climate change strategy, and I commend my former colleague, Councillor Tobin Byers, for all the work he done to bring various parties together and group and actually to achieve a consensus in the council as well. As an administration, we have rolled out the low traffic neighbourhoods. I completely and utterly disagree with the comments of Councillor Jennifer Gould, and I would say that this administration has rolled out low traffic neighbourhoods, but we did also speak to councillors. And I will say about the Liberal Democrats at times, they say they support things, they get a bit of opposition, and then they jump on a bandwagon and oppose. My experience of them is they're opportunistic to the core. We have, as an administration, rolled out 30 schools, in the process of rolling out 30 school streets across the borough, because we care passionately about the environment of our children outside our schools. We're also as well in the process of doing emission-based charging levy consultation, being determined to do the difficult things because we know that the environment is so vitally important to the borough. I'd just also like to make one comment in relation to Councillor Kohler. If he actually even bothered to read the Constitution, he would have seen it's the leader that determines the cabinet portfolios, not the council, and all his ridiculous nonsense about proportionality are completely wrong. We completely adhere to the Housing and Local Government Act 1989, and I think his comments were completely and utterly disingenuous. So I move the recommendations. Climate change is a priority for this council, but that decision is for the leader to determine what the portfolios of this council would be. And let me reassure you, we will be subjected to regular scrutiny for our actions on climate change over the next year. Thank you.
There are no further speakers. Councillor Allison, do you wish to use your right of reply?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, as this is my first chance to say so, very many congratulations on your elevation. I'm very proud of you, and I'm sure you did a great job. I'm speaking for two reasons. The first is to reassure members that actually there already is a member for climate change on the cabinet. On July the 13th, if they were listening, they would have noticed the leader announced at cabinet that the role would be upgraded during the COVID crisis to be included in the portfolio of the deputy leader, me. And his decision is in the minutes for that meeting and on the council's YouTube channel. This decision demonstrates his and my commitment to the issue. And I can assure members that I have already received a number of emails about climate change in my inbox. So I think that other people are well aware of this. I'd also like to use this opportunity, as others have, as it's the first available opportunity, to praise my predecessor. Councillor Byers was an amazing cabinet member and was responsible for setting up the working group and driving the agenda as we aim to become carbon free. I pay tribute to him for all he has done. He will be a very hard act to follow. But I've already begun to put my feet under the table, and we are already looking in great detail at the implementation of our climate strategy. Clearly, the biggest concern that we have at present is that getting to carbon zero could potentially cost the council, residents and businesses in Merton anything up to £3 billion. And given that the government has not paid us £27 million of the money they promised to pay us for the cost of COVID-19, which is more than a quarter of all we receive in council tax, how we pay for tackling the climate emergency will prove extremely difficult. Much of our work in the implementation phase will therefore be based around lobbying for more funding. However, I'm happy to say we will bring more to future council meetings and scrutiny meetings. The second point I wanted to make is that, never mind how important this issue is, I do not think that we should as a council, bind any leader over what their portfolio should include. As written, the amendment looks as though we would have to create an entirely new additional role with all the cost that entails. But even if that is not their intention, their amendment would still be wrong. If the leader wanted climate change to be their responsibility, should this body prevent them and force it to be a cabinet role? That doesn't sound very liberal to me. And if, say, the Tories won an election based on climate change denial, however much we might disagree with that, and we would disagree a lot, should we, as a council, be allowed to bind them against the wishes of the people? That doesn't sound very democratic to me. I think the current leader has done the right thing in bringing climate change into his cabinet portfolios and then passing it on to me, but that is a leader's prerogative. As I've said, I'm very pleased that this leader does value climate change and that I am in this role. So I hope that you will vote against this unliberal and undemocratic Liberal Democrat motion, which, as others have already explained, we do not need. Thank you.
I will now call for a vote on the amendment. I've been advised that a recorded vote has been requested by 6 members in accordance with the Council procedure rules, and I will now ask the monitoring officer to read out the names.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, when I call your name, please would you indicate clearly whether you're voting for or against or not voting on the amendment standing in the names of Councillors Gould and Fairclough. Councillor Akagina?
Against.
Councillor Alan Brittis?
Against.
Councillor Allison?
Against.
Councillor Anderson? Councillor Anderson? I'll come back. Councillor Ottawa?
Against.
Councillor Bailey?
For.
Councillor Barlow?
Not voting.
Councillor Bembo?
Not voting.
Councillor Bakari?
For.
Councillor Braund?
Against.
Councillor Brunt?
Against.
Councillor Adam Bush?
Not voting.
Councillor Omar Bush?
Not voting.
Councillor Butler?
Against.
Councillor Byers?
Against.
Councillor Christie?
Against.
Councillor Chung? Councillor Chung? Councillor Cooper-Marbier?
Against.
Councillor Cowper?
Against.
Councillor Crowe?
Not voting.
Councillor Curtin? Councillor Curtin? I'll come back. Councillor Dean?
Not voting.
Councillor Draper?
Against.
Councillor Fairclough?
For.
Councillor Foley? Councillor Fraser?
Against.
Councillor Gould?
For.
Councillor Gretton?
Not voting.
Councillor Henry?
Against.
Councillor Holden? Councillor Holden?
He's lost contact.
Not voting.
There he is. I'll come back. Councillor Holmes?
She hands me the paperwork and tells me I can go fill it out and bring it back. But she just really
Just wondering whether there's a more general problem with Zoom.
I would have to be in a relationship for 30 days or more to get it.
Not voting. Not voting.
Like Councillor Holmes? Thank you. Councillor Andrew Howard?
Not voting.
Councillor Janice Howard?
Not voting.
Councillor Irons? Councillor Kirby?
Yes, not voting.
Councillor Kirby?
Against.
Councillor Kohler?
For.
Councillor Lanning?
Against.
Councillor Latif? Councillor Latif. Councillor Macaulay.
Against.
Councillor Makin.
Not
Against.
Councillor McCabe.
Against.
Councillor McGrath.
For.
Councillor McLean. Councillor Moulton.
Not voting.
Councillor Mundy.
Against.
Councillor Ormerod.
Not voting.
Councillor Pearce.
Against.
Councillor Pritchard.
Against.
Councillor Quilliam.
Against.
Councillor Simpson.
Not voting.
Councillor Skeet.
Against.
Councillor Southgate.
For.
Councillor Stanford. Councillor Stanford. Councillor Stringer.
Against, it's Geraldine, I've just voted.
Thank you. Councillor
You hear me?
Stringer.
Against.
Councillor Ward.
Against.
Councillor Welton.
Against.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Not voting.
Councillor Williams.
Not voting.
Councillor Dehaney. And the Mayor, Councillor Kenny. And can I just go back and try Councillor Anderson
Against.
and Councillor Curtin? No. And Councillor Latif.
Not voting.
Against, Mary Curtin.
Oh, could you cast your vote, please, Councillor Curtin?
Against.
Thank you.
The amendment is lost. For 8 votes, against 33 votes, not voting 19 votes. Decision is lost. Would you like a vote on the substantive motion, or is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you, that is agreed. This concludes the annual council meeting. Shall we proceed? Or? Yeah, we'll proceed into the ordinary meeting. Thank you. Are there any apologies for absence? These were given at the first meeting, so we can move on. We had no declarations of pecuniary interest in the first meeting. Does that carry on? Thank you. That carries on. To receive announcements from the Mayor. On the announcements as part of this item, there will be a presentation of thanks and appreciation to the Deputy Lieutenant Miss Claire Whelan. But first we deal with the normal announcements. Are there any announcements?
No.
Not from me, I really haven't got anything to say, so that's right. Right. Councillor Alan Brittas, would you like to say a few words on Claire Whelan?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see that Claire is here. Always very happy to be in her company. Madam Mayor, I wish to convey the sincere thanks and appreciation of this council to Claire Whelan, Deputy Lieutenant, for the dedicated manner in which she has served as Lieutenant for this London Borough of Merton. Claire has enjoyed a remarkable 5-year tenure from 2015 to 2020, and we too have enjoyed having her here in our borough. As the council leader throughout her tenure, I have been so lucky to have Claire next to me at many of our events. Claire was initially appointed in 2015 as a Deputy Lieutenant in Merton, having previously served for 24 years on the London Borough of Lambeth, and we'll forgive her for that. And there you have proof of a loyal public servant, 24 years on a council, Madam Mayor. Claire was, interestingly, the Mayor of Lambeth for that all-important year, the Millennium Year. And to no one's surprise, Claire was awarded an OBE for services to local government in 2013. She's worked in Parliament for 25 years and is now an advisor on the healthcare sector and local government. Madam Mayor, we can see a pattern here of loyal service, whether it be to a borough, London Borough of Lambeth, whether it be to Parliament and its workings, or whether it be to a full 5-year tenure as our Deputy Lieutenant, a very, very hard-working pattern. She has represented the lieutenancy within the borough with distinction. Her unwavering support of local commemoration events, such as Armed Forces Day, Remembrance Sunday, and Holocaust Memorial Day, among others, has been noticed and indeed admired. She has supported the uniformed youth groups, encouraging their working together, and her annual presentation of the Deputy Lieutenant Certificate to outstanding cadets is to be recommended. You only need to see the looks on the faces of those cadets when they are before Claire Whelan. As Merton's Deputy Lieutenant, as we all have heard, Claire was influential in giving us the privilege of welcoming Her Royal Highness the Queen to the borough during her visit to Hague Homes in St Helier Ward to open an impressive new housing development for veterans. Claire's also been a very dedicated chair of the London Mayors Association, and her enthusiasm for London's mayors has spread to all our former mayors who take an increasingly active role in that association. And this is all due to Claire's warmth and welcoming approach and her work with that association. I, for one, but I know we shall all miss Claire very, very deeply and wish her well for the future. Thank you.
I have the following members who wish to speak. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On behalf of the Merton Conservative Group, it is of course a pleasure to offer our congratulations to the Deputy Lieutenant on receiving the citation for her dedication to the London Borough of Merton during the period 2015 to 2020. The citation clearly describes a career of immense commitment to public service, and that was evidenced by being awarded an OBE for services to local government in 2013. Claire, thank you for all you have done for our borough as a representative Deputy Lieutenant, and I and the Conservative Group wish you all the very best in your next endeavour. Thank you.
Councillor Macaulay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Claire Whelan, OBE, and also Deputy Lieutenant for the London Borough of Merton. Firstly, I must state that Deputy Lieutenants are appointed by the Lord Lieutenant to assist him with his duties. The Lord Lieutenant selects one of the DLs to represent him in each of the 32 London boroughs except the city. The most distinguished Claire Whelan served as a councillor for 24 years in the London Borough of Lambeth and was in the Millennium Year Mayor of Lambeth. Claire was appointed for services to local government in 2013. She held many senior roles in the council, including responsibility for social care, also cabinet member for the environment. She became involved in local government at national level, not least working with others to attract people with different diverse experience and backgrounds to put themselves forward as councillors. In July 2016, Claire was elected as the new chair of the London Mayors Association to succeed Robert Davis. Claire believes passionately in the civic mayoralty, and she has encouraged and given support to the London Mayors Association and the role they play in their communities. She also sees the role of the London Mayors Association as giving that support upholding the values of the civic morality, and also maintaining its traditions and ensuring it is relevant to the 21st century. As chairman of the LMA, she gives great assistance to members of the executive, the opportunity to enjoy the traditional civic service in Westminster Abbey, annual dinner, Whittington Walk, overseas, and other visits, and the New Year's Day parade for all 32 London boroughs. I must say that there is a strong officer team and executive members, and this is why the LMA is a popular and non-political party. Claire has shown excellent skills since she was elected as chair of the association, and also during a term as Lieutenant for Martin. She has had a very good relationship with officers of Martin Council, and also on Remembrance Sunday in November, she plays a very important role, and also she gives her full support for the usual service every year. She is also well known to the British Legion in Martin for her hard work. On behalf of all councillors, officers, and our voluntary organizations and residents in Martin, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Claire for all her support and assistance which she has given to Martin over the years. We wish you well in your deserved retirement with good health. Thank you, Claire, and well done for such a loyal service. Thank you.
Councillor Moulton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you for allowing me to add my thanks from across this virtual chamber to Claire Whelan, who's now retiring, having served our borough for 5 years with distinction as the Representative Deputy Lieutenant for Merton. Madam Mayor, Merton and its mayors, councillors, officers and constituents have appreciated her diligence, and it's been an honour for us all to work with someone as dedicated to public service as Claire. As the former leader of opposition, I saw firsthand her commitment and support to our mayoralty and her unwavering support for our borough at its important commemorative events. She's also been a champion of our uniformed forces and cadet forces, and I recall very well her support of our first Merton Fire Cadets and their first parade. I've also enjoyed working beside her on the London Mayors Association, and her passion to involve everybody and include in a very inclusive way shines through all the work that she has achieved. And although she's retired from there as chairman, I feel sure that she will continue to support events there and hopefully here too, and once again we're able to hold them. Madam Mayor, I know that across the chamber, we would like to thank Claire for her dedicated service. And Claire, we wish you well in all your future adventures and retirement. Thank you.
Councillor Southgate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and let me add a brief tribute from the Merton Park Independents for the service of our retiring Deputy Lieutenant Claire Whelan. Before she came to us as the representative Deputy Lieutenant for our borough, Claire already had a long and distinguished career in local and national government behind her. She was a councillor in our neighbouring borough of Lambeth for 24 years. She held a number of different posts there, including cabinet member and scrutiny chair. And she served as mayor for the millennium year. And she continues now to work in an advisory role on health and social care, drawing on her experience from 25 years in Parliament. She's been very supportive in her role as Deputy Lieutenant here in Merton, and she's been a constant presence at events such as Remembrance Sunday, Armed Forces Day, and Holocaust Memorial Day. Her work with Uniformed Cadets Group included the opening of the new HQ for the 134th Detachment, the South West London Armed Cadet Forces in Dorset Road. Very much a top brass occasion. As a mere ward councillor, I had to blag my way in on the coattails of the mayor. So thank you, Claire, for all you've done for Merton during your time here as our Deputy Lieutenant.
The council has a framed citation which will be presented to the Deputy Lieutenant after the meeting. Can I now invite the Deputy Lieutenant, Miss Claire Whelan, to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. May I add my congratulations to you on your election. And I very much hope you'll join the London Mayors Association as well. And I'm grateful to you for allowing me a few moments to speak. And I'm overwhelmed by the very kind words that have been said in the chamber. I had no idea that that was going to happen, but I was very keen to have the opportunity to address the council as I come to the end of my term as your representative Deputy Lieutenant. It's been such an enormous privilege to have had that role for the past 5 years. There have been a large number of memorable events, not least, of course, helping to organise and attend royal visits, most notably the one that's been mentioned several times this evening, the visit of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II to Hague Housing, which was just such a wonderful day. And one of the things, there are two things I remember about that: the delight of the residents of Hague Housing to meet the Queen and all the school children who were allowed out of class to welcome. And Madam Mayor, former Mayor, I'm sure you will agree that it was really a very emotional and fantastic day. But there are many other aspects to the role, and when people have asked me what it's about, one of the things I often say, it's about supporting the forces for good in the local area. And goodness me, Merton has so many forces for good. I've met numerous outstanding organisations, charities, faith groups, and people. And one of the joyous aspects of the role is trying to help identify people to receive national honours and invitations to garden parties. But I'm sure there are lots more who haven't yet been recognised. So I would urge you all to let my successor know if you have any suggestions. And as has already been mentioned, it's about supporting the uniformed groups, the armed forces here in Merton, obviously represented by 210 Squadron at Stonecott Hill Barracks, but all the cadet groups, the Scouts, the Royal British Legion. The cadets groups I've been particularly fond of. Lots of really fabulous young people supported by dedicated adults who help them. And again, I think they're always short of adult volunteers. So if you know anyone, do suggest to them if they've got suitable credentials and time on their hands, that the cadets in normal times can often do with a bit of help. But one of the joyous occasions each year has been presenting Deputy Lieutenant certificates to outstanding cadets. And in recent years, we've held those in the Mayor's Parlour, which has been really, really lovely. But the reason I particularly wanted to be here this evening is twofold. The first is, one of the reasons the role has been such a pleasure and a joy has been the really excellent relationship with Merton Council. And I do thank you sincerely for that. Each of the mayors has been a delight to work with, all absolutely dedicated to the role in their individual ways. And has already been mentioned, you have some very active former mayors, Councillor Moulton and Macaulay. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for your support here in Merton, and also when I was chairman of the London Mayors Association. You've added immeasurably to the ease with which I've been able to fulfil both of those roles. And the mayoral office has been unfailingly helpful, always offering practical advice, practical help and support. So thank you for that. And through you, Chief Executive, I would like to thank you and all the officers of the council and employees who I've had contact with. Leader, thank you for your very kind words. And thank you again for your friendship during the time that I've been here. as the representative deputy lieutenant and for the various events that we've attended together. And I would like to thank you and councillors of all parties. And one of the things that I particularly like about Merton is the way so much of its activity is non-partisan and supported by people of all parties. And I think that's a great strength. So my first purpose for wanting to be here was to say thank you to Merton Council. But the second purpose is I wanted to pay tribute to the way that Merton marks the big events in the national calendar, the ceremonial events, Armed Forces Day, Remembrance Sunday. Her Majesty the Queen's 90th birthday was particularly memorable, but there were citizenship ceremonies, there were memorials to recipients of the Victoria Cross, and I do think that Merton marks these in an exemplary manner. I know from other things I do how other London boroughs do some of these things. I think Merton is absolutely outstanding, although I know that the way things are currently, it's not possible to mark them in their traditional manner. I hope it won't be too long before we can have public events again. But if not, I feel sure that you will come up with truly imaginative ways of marking such occasions in a different but equally appropriate way. So I wanted to say thank you and just put on record what a great pleasure it's been to be your representative Deputy Lieutenant. I hope that we will keep in touch, but in the meantime, I commend my successor, Chris Cotton, to you, and I wish you all wisdom and health. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next item is the motion to vary the order of business. I understand this is being proposed formally by Councillor Alan Brittas.
I do so formally move, Madam Mayor.
And this is being formally seconded by Councillor Allison.
Yes, seconded, Madam Mayor.
Councillor McLean.
More to add.
You don't want to speak?
That's fine. You say, is it agreed?
Right. Do you wish the right to reply? Or? No, it's all agreed. Right. Thank you very much. Everyone agrees. That's good. The next item is the public questions. You have a list in front of you of 16 questions from members of the public. Answers have been provided by the appropriate cabinet member. Each questioner was invited to notify the council in advance of the meeting if they wish to ask a supplementary question. I will call upon each person's name in turn. Please unmute your own microphone. Please keep your supplementary question brief and not a statement. Firstly, is Barry Smith present? Finally, Emma Madison.
Hello. I'd like to ask the council in my supplementary question, of the 90% of primary and special schools who have bought into the central school meals contract, how many are currently recycling, actively recycling less than 50% of their food waste? And also, if the council doesn't currently have that information available, will they undertake to source that information and make it publicly available?
Thank you. Councillor Allison.
Well, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to take that, if that would be helpful.
Councillor Stringer, thank you.
So thank you. Yes. So as in our written response, you'll see this is the responsibility of schools. And you'll see that we do try to encourage schools to use food waste by stipulating it wherever we can, so in those central contracts. As far as I'm aware, that's not something that we actively monitor, and I'm not even sure it's something that schools could actively, easily monitor themselves. I imagine it would actually be most easily done by the central company providing the school meals. And I'm not going to commit here that they are going to be able to provide that information, but I'm happy to look into it for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Andrew Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I thank the Cabinet member for their answer to my question. The funding for these developments has been available to the Council for a number of years now, and it doesn't take that length of time to work out that you can't put some trees where there are underground utilities. So my supplementary question is this: is it not rather immoral that this Council should use a global health crisis as the latest in a long line of excuses for not taking action on this project?
Councillor Welton.
I'd like to thank him for his supplementary question. Clearly, COVID has had a major impact upon the council over the past few months and has been a priority. In terms of Section 106 here, we have obviously worked very closely and liaised with the three Abbey councillors in terms of how this is spent, these resources, and finding a way to do these things in this area.
We now move to item 6, Councillors' questions to Cabinet members. These have been published along with the response from Cabinet members. I will read out each member's name in order they appear in the agenda and invite you to ask a supplementary question. Please ensure all supplementary questions are brief and not a statement, and we will get through as many as possible in 15 minutes. Firstly, Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak. And thank you to the Cabinet member for her answer. My supplementary question is, in your response, you set out the stark reality of £460,000 costs to the Children's School and Families Department in the Council due to COVID-19. What are the priorities you will be working to in the face of this cost pressure? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for giving me the opportunity to answer. Well, the first thing to point out is the cost that we've outlined in the answer there is only the kind of immediate cost pressures that we are aware of. Our department has not had the immediate financial impact that some other departments have, but we think that many of the issues will come out in the future, in the coming months, and they will be associated with financial and very real social impact costs for that. So while many children and families are resilient and have coped well, others who are in more challenging circumstances will have faced great hardship during lockdown, and there may be serious consequences of those. So in terms of our priorities are ensuring that we at Merton are able to continue to do the great work that we do in protecting our children and safeguarding our children, and ensuring that all children in Merton can develop and have the same successful life outcomes no matter what their circumstances. And we're going to have to be doing this in a period of even tighter budgets, and tighter budgets all around us as well. So while the council is going to face pressures, so are the youth and children's charities that we work with, so are all the schools around us. So yeah, the schools themselves are also going to face budgetary pressures. Thank you.
Councillor McLean.
Madam Mayor, and thank you to the Leader of the Council and the Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care, Health and Environment for his reply. Can the Leader update the Council on the steps that have been taken to implement the low emission bus zones across the borough, which was passed by the Council in February 2019, and can he tell us the last date when he, the previous Cabinet Member, or any Council officers held discussions with TfL to bring in the low emission bus zones?
I want to thank Councillor Nick McLean for his original and for his supplementary question. We have responded in full terms to his original question over 2 pages, and I can say that we hold regular meetings with TfL, in particular with Heidi Alexander, and we shall be meeting her very, very soon. But COVID and the inability, the problem with meetings is having an impact, but we'll get back to him as soon as we can with regard to those dates of those meetings.
Councillor McGrath.
Thank you. I'm sure everybody was shocked by the case of Mr. X, and I know a lot of people were shocked at the idea that a family can be housed 90 minutes away or just under 90 minutes away and it's fine. That means that a Merton family could be housed in Milton Keynes and that would still be regarded as reasonable. I wonder if the Cabinet member could give us an absolute assurance that no one will be housed more than 90 minutes away from Merton, please.
I'd like to thank Councillor McGrath for his supplementary. As a council, we do try to house people as close as possible, but we do have a massive housing crisis in this country in terms of the provision of affordable housing, but also as well temporary housing. Merton does very well in only having 210 people in temporary accommodation. One of my priorities is ensuring that they are as close as possible to the borough, because I think that's the area they obviously reside in. But the housing crisis is getting no easier, and sometimes it's very difficult in terms of housing people. But I am actually very proud of our housing teams. We have learnt the lessons of this ombudsman for the work they do, but also the fact that they have the lowest number of people in temporary accommodation of any London borough, which I think is testament to the work of Steve Langley and his team. Thank you.
Gina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to congratulate you on your position. And I'd like to thank the Cabinet member for their response. And like I say, I believe that having equality of representation within the council is another way of ensuring residents who have protected characteristics are considered when it comes to making decisions. Can the Cabinet member outline her work in encouraging applicants to roles in the council from the underrepresented group?
Right, thank you, Madam Mayor, and I thank Councillor Akagina for her question. Yes, we in Merton, we're taking this very seriously and are working with the BAME Staff Forum, looking at a number of options, ensuring that there's diverse representation on the staff, especially at senior level. And we're looking to ensure that there's a diverse representation on the panel, looking at applications. We're looking at training as well, and have made equalities training mandatory and looking at a training on racism and anti-racism across with staff, and mentoring of staff within the council to give them the appropriate training with a view to promoting and encouraging promotion within the borough. So yes, we're also working with London councils to see what other councils are doing, to see what we can adopt within the council to make sure that Merton Council is properly represented at all levels in the council. Thank you.
Councillor Southgate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I may thank the Councillor Welton as the Cabinet member for his response. I note he has significant concerns about the White Paper. May I say that I share those concerns. In fact, I find very little to like in it. Does he agree with me that local people are in the best position to decide on the type of development they want to see in their own communities? And can I ask him to press for a continuing role for our local planning applications committee in determining applications for development in our borough?
I'd like to thank Councillor Southgate for his supplementary question, and he is quite right in what he says. I am very concerned about the planning white paper, and that it will take away democratic accountability in terms of planning permission. You look in the white paper, growth, renewal and protect, and giving permission in principle to developments without any kind of oversight to councillors. I think that is completely wrong, and as a council, we will be taking a robust response both on this and a number of other areas in the planning white paper when we make our response. Thank you.
Can I just remind everyone we've only 5 minutes left for questions? Could you be very precise in them? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And once again, thank you to the Leader of the Council for his response as Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care, Health and Environment. Due to the dither and delay of this administration, the £54.5 million GLA land fund investment for modern regeneration has now been lost. How can the Leader be certain that his administration's actions to delay the proposed investment in our local NHS will not cause the £500 million investment to be lost also?
I thank the Leader of the Opposition, Nick McLean, for his original question and for his supplementary. We're not dithering, we're not delaying. Our reaction and our next course of action is entirely dependent on the answer of his own Health Secretary.
Councillor Cowper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And to the Cabinet Member concerned, I think the public's trust and confidence in policing is key to the success of issues like tackling unlicensed music events. What work are you aware of that the police are doing to build trust in the community?
Thank you, Councillor Cowper, for your supplementary question. The police have continued to engage with our communities to explain the new rules and encourage people to comply. Obviously, should people choose to ignore the COVID legislation, then in order to protect our Martin communities, they will use their enforcement powers. The BCU will also be resourcing enforcement on cars that will be responding to local concerns, including large groups of more than 6 people. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Gretton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and all the best for your mayoralty. It's been great to see the £80 million of grants coming into the borough for local businesses from central government, to the £20 million or so direct financial support to the council. Councillor Alson claimed at the last meeting that the council was on the verge of bankruptcy, he said, and my question to him, Madam Mayor, is given the huge amount of funding we're going to see soon from Robert Jenrick's statement, about 70p in the pound is going to be funded to cover revenue losses, and the council's confirmation yesterday that council's got enough cash reserve to take the council through the long term and meet all its payment obligations. Could Councillor Alson clarify what he meant by saying that the council's on the verge of bankruptcy? And is he going to issue a section 114 notice or call an emergency budget? And if he isn't going to do one of those two things, will he retract his statement and apologise to the officers and the contractors of this council, and perhaps reconsider his position and offer his resignation to this chamber?
Madam Mayor, do you want me to answer the question now?
Yes, please.
Apologies, and thank you for thank you to Councillor Gretton for his very interesting follow-up question and his original. I think that if he understood maths and finance, I know that he's the opposition spokesperson for finance. He would be a little bit more aware of the struggle that councils across the country are facing due to the government failing to keep their promise to fund councils for whatever it costs for the cost of COVID-19. I'm very disappointed with the tone of voice that he's used. Quite clearly, if a council like ours receives £27 million less than it has cost us, and £27 million equates to a quarter of the money, more than a quarter of the money that we receive every year in council tax. If councils lose that amount of money, if they do not make corresponding cuts to services, then yes, they will go bust. And yes, the monitoring officer will need to use their powers. Now, we are a business-like council, and we will not allow that to happen. However, if they do not support enormous cuts to our budgets because of what their government is putting us through, then there is, yes, a possibility that the council will be in extreme financial difficulty. Already, we are looking at £27 million that we will need to find. And next year, we've already established that we will need to make cuts of more than £17 million to our budget. That is the responsibility of the government for not funding the council. And I hope that he will recognise that and support us in our aim to get the money that it has cost the council to tackle COVID-19 as effectively as we have. Thank you.
This will be the last question as we've run out of time, from Councillor Ormerod.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask the Cabinet Member what action can be taken by the Council if parents do continue to not allow their children to go to school due to COVID fears? And also, would it be possible for all councillors to have regular updates on attendance as part of the office's regular reporting of children in the borough during the pandemic, please?
Thank you, Councillor Ormerod, for your follow-up question. As explained in the answer, we don't yet have a problem with attendance. We've got increasing levels of attendance, of which I'm really proud, because opening schools and opening them safely was a top priority from us, and schools and families have done a brilliant job of ensuring that children are back. We have an excellent education welfare team who will get involved where there are any particular circumstances where they need to. But I'd like to draw colleagues' attention to the key challenge to increasing attendance, which is the ability to quickly access tests when a member of staff, a pupil, or someone from the household develops any symptoms. I already know firsthand the families keen to do the right thing and keep their children off if they get a cough, but then struggling to access tests. You might have seen that Siobhan McDonough MP's already contacted Matt Hancock about these issues, and I'd urge all opposition councillors to focus their lobbying efforts there too, not just at the council. Thank you.
Item 7, social media guidance for councillors. Councillor McCabe, will you move this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and can I add my heartiest congratulations to your election as Mayor. I'm sure you'll be an outstanding success. Madam Mayor, this is a report and a guidance which has been the subject of consultation with all the political groups. It has been discussed and scrutinised at the Standards and General Purposes Committee, and I move the adoption of this guidance.
Thank you. This is being formally seconded by Councillor Allison.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I second and thank the committee and everyone involved for their work on this.
Councillor McLean.
More to add.
Councillor Fairclough.
Further comments, Madam Mayor.
Councillor McCabe, would you like to use your right of reply?
Madam Mayor, I don't think there's any need to. I'm happy to move that this be adopted by the council.
As I have no further speakers, I call for a vote. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 8, amendments to the Constitution. Councillor Alan Britters, will you move this report?
I do so move, Madam Mayor.
This is formally seconded by Councillor Allison.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I formally second.
I have the following listed to speak. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Madam, but no comment.
Councillor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam. No comment.
Councillor Alan Brittas, would you like to use your right to reply?
No need to, Madam Mayor. It's all.
As I have no further speakers, unless I hear any dissent, I will take it that as agreed. Agreed. Thank you. Item 9, appointment of Director of Children, Schools and Families and the Assistant Director of Public Protection. Councillor Allison, will you move this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I move formally.
This is being formally seconded by Councillor Alan Brittas.
Yes, I do so second, Madam Mayor.
I have the following listed to speak. Councillor McLean.
I have no further comments, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Simon McGrath.
No comment, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Allison, would you like to use your right of reply?
No, thanks, Madam Mayor. No need. There's nothing to reply to. Thank you.
As I have no further speakers, unless I hear any dissent, I will take that as agreed. Thank you. That is agreed. Now we come to the final item. Can I ask Councillor Alan Brittas to put forward the strategic theme for the next ordinary meeting of the Council on the 18th of November 2020?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I get to the business of the next ordinary meeting of this great council, I do have a very personal statement to make, Madam Mayor. This evening, I'm announcing that after 10 years as leader of Merton Council and 10 plus years as leader of Merton Labour Group, I will be stepping down at the next ordinary meeting on November the 18th. Madam Mayor, it's been an absolute honour to lead Merton in what has been an extraordinary 10 years of attainment for this best achieving council. When I became council leader in 2010, I was determined that we would be a business-like council, determined to make Merton a great place for families and bridge the gap between the east and west of the borough and ensure we cared for the most vulnerable in our society. Looking back, I do believe we've done just that, in spite of unprecedented cuts to our budget and tough economic circumstances. We have managed to protect statutory services to vulnerable groups like fighting for St Helier Hospital and at the same time deliver positive growth and changes to the borough. We've been consistent in our support for the return of a fan-owned club leading to a brand new stadium for AFC Wimbledon at Plough Lane with over 800 units of housing to boot. We delivered on a state-of-the-art leisure centre in a park setting in Morden. We now have a new award-winning library in Colliers Wood. We've opened a new secondary school with a new building for the children in South Wimbledon on the horizon. And what a joy it was to be with Mary Curtin as our mayor to open the new Centre for Adults and Learning Disabilities at Leighton Road. Madam Mayor, I'm pleased to report that all that investment has brought new homes, new jobs, new apprenticeships, which we have helped to create as a council, with much more in the way of new office and leisure space. At the same time, we've been able to deliver flagship policies with the introduction of over 23 expanded primary schools, leading to over 4,500 extra places for our primary school children. Thank you for the water. We are trailblazers in the country for the progress our children make in our secondary schools, and those schools are all rated good and outstanding. And indeed, the schools in our borough regularly outperform the London and national averages, with our children's services also rated good with outstanding features. Madam Mayor, now on to something that I'm particularly proud of, and that is exempting care leavers in the borough from paying the council tax until the age of 25. Protecting our households on low incomes with 100% council tax support and delivering a zero council tax for 6 years. I was keen to retain our ongoing support for widening the opportunities to enjoy culture and the arts with our work with Wimbledon Theatre and Polka Children's Theatre. With regards to the world-class Polka Theatre, I was pleased to link them with the Greek-based Stavros Niarchos Foundation, and that foundation is now a major supporter of the theatre. Madam Mayor, Our work, putting public health and social regeneration at the heart of all that we do as a council by working with our local NHS and CCG, has been inspiring. Our voluntary sector is thriving via the MVSC and reflected in a number of compact awards we've all achieved from across the parties from the Cabinet Office. We work very closely with Merton Chamber of Commerce for our businesses, and we were awarded the title of Best Small Business Friendly Borough by London Councils. I'm pleased that residents continue to be positive about the council and return increasing satisfaction levels in successive independent surveys with the way the council runs things, increasing satisfaction levels with the local area, and that the council provides value for money and the council acts on the concerns of residents. Madam Mayor, the past decade has also seen us face huge challenges as a council, from riots to floods to COVID pandemic-19. These events have scarred individuals and all our communities, with COVID-19 having a disproportionate impact on our BAME community. Madam Mayor, these events have also demonstrated the amazing resilience and support we've been able to offer each other as residents of Merton. Being a best achieving council would not have been possible without the support of all my fellow councillors from across the parties, an amazing team of officers led by Jed Curran and Merton Council staff, and friends and partners right across Merton and London. Madam Mayor will be able to thank everyone. I will be, hopefully, at that council meeting in November the 18th. I've always believed that we work best as a partnership and that together we share responsibility for our successes and give credit where due. Thank you for your part played by every councillor from every party in helping to make Merton such a safe borough, a borough of hope and opportunity. We've also been winning local elections, Madam Mayor, since 2010, and that is because of our commitment to deliver a business-like council and to make the area attractive, safe and free from discrimination for all our residents, and this has been the winning formula. We've demonstrated that a courageous, focused and disciplined and well-run business council, informed by our care for the more vulnerable in Merton and our values and aspirational for all our communities and residents, is politically attractive. Madam Mayor, in football language, no referee or VAR technology can take away our hat-trick of local election wins in 2010, 2014 and 2018. Madam Mayor, as Chair of the South London Partnership, it's been an honour to represent our sub-regional grouping at London Councils and to work with Mayors Boris Johnson and Sadiq Khan to make the case for Sutton, Richmond, Croydon, Kingston and, of course, Merton in our gloriously green part of South London. I'm very proud to have been the leader since 2010, and of course, I will miss being leader, but now is the right time to go. Madam Mayor, Merton will elect a new leader on November the 18th. This council will elect a new leader on November the 18th. I'm confident the next leader of the council takes over a borough with much to look forward to, and that they will continue to build on our achievements and work with all of you here in Merton. Between now and November the 18th, there is more work to be done to protect our residents from this awful pandemic. There are 2 Labour group meetings, there are 2 council LSGs, there are 2 cabinet meetings. There's plenty of more work for me to do, Madam Mayor, in the next 2 months. I will also use the time to continue working with you and saying a personal thank you to everyone here at Merton Council. And finally, Madam Mayor, from a very personal and family perspective, this is the right time for me to move on. The last 10 years have given me the opportunity to represent Merton both within the borough and London as a whole, and given me the opportunity to fight for our values, and this has been such a huge honour for me. So above all else, I would like to thank the people of Merton for giving me this opportunity. Madam Mayor, thank you very much. Now we move to the business of the next ordinary meeting of that council. The business of the next ordinary meeting of the council will be health and well-being with an emphasis on healthy living, which is what I'm about to enjoy more of after November. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I understand the following members would like to say a few words. Councillor McCabe.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I would like to say a huge thank you to Stephen. He was first elected as a councillor for Ravensbury Ward in 2006. And immediately I felt that there was a very strong connection with him. We are both sons of immigrants. We share very key values. We share a commitment to equalities, a commitment to the NHS, as does Stephen's wife, who's had a long and distinguished career in the NHS. And of course, in Stephen's case, fighting all that time to keep St Helier Hospital open. We share a commitment to a fair society. We share a commitment to giving children the best possible start in life. And we share a commitment for standing up for those without a voice. Now, Stephen very quickly proved himself as an excellent councillor, and it was no surprise when he became leader. Madam Mayor, I've always seen it as part of my role not to be too deferential to leaders of the council, and I think it's part of my role to make sure they don't get too big for their boots, and I keep them grounded. So I have from time to time been known to be critical in, I hope, a constructive way of Stephen. He's not perfect, but I've never really been able to say the kind of nice things that I can now that he's stepping down, because he's not going to be getting a big head. Madam Mayor, Stephen is an excellent communicator. He's a really good listener. He talks to local people and listens. He is clear-sighted. He has integrity. He has leadership. And I think you may have heard this once or twice before. He's a bit businesslike in his approach to the council. But Madam Mayor, the most important thing about Stephen is he is a thoroughly decent man. He's put in a great shift. He should be really proud of his achievements, and they are many. One of which, of course, not least of which, is that Stephen is a winner, which is actually quite handy for political parties. So on behalf of the residents of Ravensbury Ward, on behalf of all the residents of Merton, I would like to thank Stephen for his outstanding service to Merton, and we really will miss you, Stephen.
Councillor Christie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to say a personal thanks to Stephen. He was the first council leader I ever met, and ever since he has modelled to me the role of a council leader and indeed of a councillor. He has encouraged me at many points in my own career, and indeed encouraged me to think about standing as a councillor myself. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. Over the last 10 years, nobody can doubt that Stephen has been completely dedicated to this borough. From his home in the very centre of Merton, conveniently located just minutes away from his private reserved parking space in the Civic Centre, he's travelled around the borough constantly, meeting residents and business owners in every ward. Indeed, many unsuspecting pedestrians walking the streets of this borough have been brought out of their quiet thoughts by the ubiquitous refrain, "Hello, I'm the leader." Some residents will never know of the impact that Councillor Alan Brittas has had on their lives, but it is nevertheless a great one. Having served 10 years as leader, he has presided over an effective, well-run and business-like council that has made Merton a great place to live for many families. Stephen, you'll be greatly missed, but your resoundingly positive impact on the borough will be felt long after you've stepped down. Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And first of all, I'd like to say congratulations. And of course, as usual, we are here to support each other. I just like to say tonight, I feel a bit sad. And at the end of the day, sad for myself because I'm not going to, you know, pop around and have a little chat when I have a problem or something on my mind I want to talk to Stephen as I normally do. And the other thing, I'm glad for him in a sense that 10 years, and when a person says 10 years is enough and I want to rest, of course, we have to respect that. But I'll talk for myself. During 2014, when I just became a councillor, of course, it was a challenge for me getting into something new. I've just gave up my post as being a special constable after 15 years. Also, I took early retirement because I was entering into my 60 years and I was thinking of going home to my country to relax. And then the government say, oh, I'm sorry, you have to wait until 66. So when Councillor Brenda Fraser said to me, well, you know, I'm a councillor and I think that's something you could do. I approached Stephen, I have a little chat and he says, well, you know, come around with us and see what we are doing. And if it's something you like, then of course you can make your application. And here I am now going through my second year. And without the support of our dear leader, Stephen Annie British, I don't think I'll be standing here or sitting where I am now. I just want to say there are many times obstacles coming my way, and even my personal problem. Last year, my dad was very ill, and the first person around 8 o'clock in the morning to talk to was him, and he was like a brother to me. You know, first of all, he said, "Are you sitting down? Sit down, and I talk you through it." And then, of course, I mean that's make a big impact in my life. He's going to be really missed in every way. When I had my first event in Palarzil, which is my ward, Black History Month, October 26th, I asked him, would he be kind enough to, you know, represent me or, you know, support me? And he says to me, of course I will, sure I will. And when I said to some people in the community that the leader of the council will be here, they said, the leader of the council? We never have a leader of the council in Palarzil before. Of course, maybe not, you know, but he was here, he talked to everyone. And, you know, Stephen is a people person. He's a person I personally can say, you know, you can talk to, you can tell your problems to, and, you know, either get it solved or not. And he have a word, sometimes I'm wondering whether or not it's real or not. He always said, well done, well done. Sometimes I said to him, are you sure it's well done? He says, yeah, well done, well done. And Stephen, I just want to say, thanks a lot for all your support. You will be well missed. And don't change a bit from the person you are. Wherever you go, be yourself, and God bless you.
Councillor Allison.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a very emotional evening for me. I've told Stephen already to his face, or as near to his face as Zoom and social distancing would allow, that these 10 years working with Stephen on the Cabinet have been the most enjoyable and rewarding in my professional or political career. Also as a QPR season ticket holder, and with him as a Fulham fan, he is my only Fulham supporting friend, and I have to say that is one divide that is only very rarely broken, so well done to him on breaking that for me. He has, however, been a great source of support and encouragement, even when we've had to make some very difficult decisions, and there have been quite a few of those since austerity. But his kindness and willingness to allow Cabinet colleagues to work in a collegiate way is a great mark of the man. I remember his election in 2003 like it was just yesterday. It was a close election, but he made it fun. I remember us at 1 minute to 10 on polling day night, persuading one poor man in Ravensbury Grove who was in his pajamas to stick on his dressing gown and cross the road to the polling station in the pouring rain. As all of us in the council know, every vote counts. And since his election, his list of achievements is huge. He brought his communication skills and business acumen as the national spokesperson for the Federation of Small Businesses to great use. I was joking earlier that his biggest achievement probably is that he's made the so-called party of business, who normally sit opposite us in the chamber, sick of the word businesslike. So he has made us even more pro-business than the Tories. Thank you for that. He has also supported me through 10 very difficult budgets. And of course, he's led us to the Council of the Year award. But he is more than just Mr. Businesslike. In his time, he has built a new leisure centre in Morden. He's built a new library in Collierswood. And by next month, he will have built a new secondary school in South Wimbledon. And of course, a new stadium for AFC Wimbledon. The Prime Minister apparently wants people who can build. Well, he should look no further than Stephen Allenbritis, Mr. Merton, build. Councillor Allenbritis, you have been a tribute to your family. All of Cyprus should be very proud, but they will not be as proud as me. You are a good friend, and Merton will miss you. I will miss you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to add the Conservative Group's acknowledgement of the immense public service and dedication to the London Borough of Merton that Councillor Allenbritis has shown. We clearly are not on the other, we're on opposing sides, but one cannot be impressed by his election winning capability. And he, with 3 election wins, that's certainly there. On a personal note, of course, I was only in 2018 intake, and of course, many members have had great experience with him. But since becoming a leader of opposition, he has been very, very thoughtful with me, certainly at events, ensuring always that I was pushed to the front, and I thank him for that. I'm sure there'll be other comments. I think Councillor Williams also would like to speak. Of course, he has got greater experience. But I'll finish by making this promise to you that after the 2022 election, I'll ensure the next leader of, or the leader of the council still lives in Cannon Hill. Thank you.
There will be opportunities for people to speak at the meeting on November the 18th to say their farewells to, as Councillor Allenbritis as leader of the group. But is there anyone else who'd like to speak now? Are you happy to hold it till the next meeting?
Madam Mayor, I would like to just say something very briefly.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Please do.
Well, thank you. A surprise, although we've been wondering when this might happen. From my point of view, as Stephen's immediate predecessor as leader of the council, I regret that he's going, because it means to say that when I say, well, I was Councillor Allenbritis' predecessor, people don't worry that it was 10 years ago. But actually, 10 years is a long time to be leader. I know even the 4 years I did, the pressures that come on you that are quite distinct to that role. And I also remember one of the first times, I think the first time, I went to the ALG building for a London leaders meeting, the sudden realization that you are actually the leader of a council and representing 200,000 odd people. Stephen, you have done a very good job clearly we disagree politically about priorities, but you've also been very courteous to me, particularly when I was mayor. And I just want to thank you for that. And I'm glad that there will be an opportunity for others to say something at the next council meeting. And thank you, Madam Mayor.